Alright guys, so in the last video we enabled authentication. We can now log in using a username. Now we're going to be adding the form or the modal to add a bookmark. But before we do that, let's take care of the home page. I'm actually going to keep this view. I'm just going to change the text, okay, because this is going to be just a welcome page really. The dashboard is where all the stuff happens. So let's go down to views, which is in the resources, and we're going to go to the welcome.blade.php, and let's go down here. We'll keep all the styling and all that. We want to keep the login links. Let's change the Laravel text to Marks Manager, and then I'm going to get rid of these links here, these A tags, and let's just put a paragraph in here, and let's say easy to use website bookmarker. I guess you can write whatever you want. So we'll save that, and there we go. There's our home, our landing page. Okay, now we click up. Actually, you know what? Let's change home. Let's change that to dashboard. So right here, we'll just change dashboard. Makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to create a form using a Bootstrap modal. So let's go to home.blade.php. This is our dashboard. And inside the panel here, inside the panel body, we're going to put a button. Okay, so it's going to be type button. Let's give it a class of BTN, BTN primary, and also BTN large or LG. All right, and then we're going to say data-toggle, and we're going to set that to modal. All right, and then we need the ID of the modal, which is going to go into data target. Okay, this is just standard Bootstrap markup, and we'll say with the ID of add modal. All right, let's actually put these on separate lines just to make it a little less messy. Oops. All right. So let's see. In the button here, we'll just say add bookmark. Okay, let's see if that shows up. Okay, so there's our button. Now to create the modal, instead of typing it out, let's just go to getbootstrap.com and go to JavaScript and then modal. All right, and then we want to grab this right here. Okay, and then we can put this anywhere. Let's put it down down the bottom. We'll paste that in. All right, and then we're gonna change. Let's see. Actually, we need an ID here. Yeah, so this div should have an ID, and let's say add modal. All right, and it should match whatever you have here as the ID. Okay, and then let's see. For the header, in here where it says modal title, we're going to say add bookmark. All right, and then in the body, that's where we're going to have our form. We'll get to that in a minute. And then I'm going to get rid of the footer here. I don't want that. All right, so let's just save this and see if it actually works. Reload, click that, and there we go. All right, we should have a close button. That should work as well. So now let's create the form. Now I'm not going to use Laravel Collective because it's just one small form. So we are going to need to include the CSRF field function. So right here, let's put in our double curly braces and say CSRF underscore field, and that's a function. All right, and then in the form tag here, let's say method post. That's correct. Action, let's put in double curly braces, and we'll specify route, and we want it to go to bookmarks.store. All right, so it's going to make a post request to bookmarks/store. And let's see, we don't need a class. Okay, now under here we'll create our field. So let's put a div, and we'll give it a class of form group. And in here, let's put a label, and let's see, we'll say bookmark name, and then under that we'll put an input. Okay, type of text. It's going to have a class of form control, and it's going to have a name of name. Okay, and no value. So now we'll just copy this form group and let's paste it in 2 more times. This one here will be the bookmark URL. We'll give it a name of URL. And then this one here will be the description. So let's say website description. And this is going to actually be a text area. So I'm going to get rid of the input text. And we'll say text area. And let's give it a name of description. And then it needs a closing tag. Alright, and then we need our submit button. So let's put in input here, and we'll give it a type of submit. We'll give it a name of submit and a value of submit. And then let's give it a class of BTN and BTN success. So let's go ahead and save that and see what we get. We'll reload. Let's see, use of undefined bookmarks, assumed bookmarks. Oh, you know what? Right here, this should actually have quotes around it. Alright, let's put a space here. Let's try that. Route not defined. Okay, so we need to define this route here, bookmark store. So let's go down to routes web.php. And let's see, what we're going to do here is, let's go right here and we'll say route, and it's going to be a post. Okay, so it's going to be post to store. And let's put an array here and we'll say as. And then it's going to go to bookmarks dot store, and then the controller, let's say uses, oops, so uses bookmarks controller at store. All right, and let's just create that function as well. So we'll go to our bookmarks controller. And let's say public function store. And then we're going to pass in here request and then a request variable. And for now, we'll just say return. Alright, so let's go back and reload. Click our add bookmark, and there's our form. Alright, if we submit, it's just going to return nothing. So let's take care of the validation. All right, so if we go in here and we do this validate, and then we want to pass in the request as a parameter, and then the next parameter will be an array of rules. So we'll say name. Okay, and that's going to be required. And let's do URL, and that's also required. Alright, so if we go and try to submit this, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to bring us back, which is what we want, but we want an error message displayed. Initially, I wanted it displayed in the modal, but it just got really messy and confusing, so we're just going to have it in here. Now, I like to put the messages in a template include. So let's go down to our views folder here, and let's create a new folder called inc, and then we'll create a file called messages.blade.inc, and then it's going to be the same as all the other projects. I'm just going to grab it and paste it in. Whoops, that's not it. Actually, you know what, I don't think I can paste it in because I'm in a virtual machine, which usually works, but I'm not sure why it's not now. So we'll just type it out, I guess. Let's just say if count errors. So we're going to check for a variable called errors and say if that is greater than 0. Okay, if that's greater than 0, then we want to loop through. So for each, and errors, which is an object, we want to look for the all function and say as error. So in here, what we'll do is create a div with the class of alert and alert danger, which will make it red, and then we want to simply output the error. Alright, so that's one. And now we want to check for session success and session error. So let's say if session, and then the status, which would be success. If that's there, then let's say div class alert, and then it's going to be alert success, which will make it green. And then we just want to output session success. Alright, and then we just want to do the same thing but with the session error. Alright, and we'll change this to danger. Change that to error. Alright, so that's our messages. Now let's go ahead and include that in home.blade. So let's go up here. And let me see, where do I want to put this? Right above the button in the panel body. So we can do include, and that's going to be in the ink folder and then in the messages file. Alright, so let's go ahead and reload this. Whoops. Ink messages not found. Oh. This should be .php. Okay, so now let's submit, and now we get our errors. Alright, so I think we're going to stop here, and in the next video we'll take care of the submission, and then we'll start to try to bring in the bookmarks into our dashboard.